Yes, it's time for you to clean up the yard. Get outside pronto were the words that echoed from my mother-in-law at my in-law's house. I was always treated like a servant, especially at Christmas. After doing all sorts of housework, I'd find myself locked out in the yard. It was tough at first, but as the son's wife, I eventually accepted it. If I could endure it for a little while, I could go home. That's all I thought about, waiting for time to pass. One Christmas, thanks to my sister-in-law, I had an awakening. My name is Ariel. I'm 27 years old and I work in an office. My husband Tom is 33 years older than me. We've been married for 3 years. I'm an indoor person preferring to relax at home on my days off. I'm not antisocial, just shy and not great with large groups. When I first met Tom, he was kind and reliable. I met him at a drinking party I attended with a friend. I thought it was a small gathering, but there were many strangers, and I wanted to go home right away. Tom was the one who helped me. I didn't know there would be so many people. Let's have a quiet drink over here, he suggested. He's a cheerful person and probably fine with crowds, but he stayed with me, chatting about various things. When it was time to move to the after party, he discreetly said, "It's better to go home now." He let me leave early. Such gatherings often exhaust me, but that day, thanks to him, I wasn't tired and actually had fun. He remained kind and reliable as we dated. As an indoor person, he took me to places I'd never seen before, showing me beautiful views. He was always gentle, escorting me wherever we went. In the 2 years we dated, we never fought. But after marriage, I saw a not-so-kind side of him. Perhaps it was inevitable. No longer just his girlfriend, but his son's wife. When he came home, "Is dinner ready? Can I take a shower?" He'd always ask. I work full-time, though I don't have overtime. Sometimes, depending on when my husband gets home, I can't get dinner or his shower ready in time. "I'll do it now. Just wait a little longer," I tell my husband, always rushing to prepare. If he realized things weren't ready, he'd let out a deep sigh and sit down on the sofa to watch TV. "Oh, beef stew again," he'd remark. I try to prepare in advance or get creative, but if it's the same menu, he gets upset, accusing me of slacking off. Even with simple dishes, my husband never helps. Instead, he leaves his socks under the sofa. He seemed like the epitome of a henpecked husband. We had never lived together before marriage, and I was taken aback by this behavior, as we hadn't experienced this when staying at each other's places. I'm not the most efficient, so while feeling guilty, I kept thinking about how to do household chores more effectively. Apart from this, he was as kind as he always had been. I always thought it was just me failing as his wife. This feeling intensified whenever we visited my in-laws' house. Their house is an hour's drive from ours. I only go a few times a year, but I get so nervous I can't sleep the night before. My father-in-law, Eric, a henpecked husband like my husband, always sits quietly in the same spot, reading the newspaper. "Coffee," I'd often hear him say to Mary, my mother-in-law, as if used to it. Mary prepares the coffee even before being asked and serves it right away. I guess my husband grew up seeing Mary do this and expects the same from me. Eric, being a man of few words, shows little interest in me, barely speaking beyond greetings. Mary is a strong, talkative woman, having been a housewife for years. She efficiently does her chores, probably finding my ineptitude frustrating. When at the in-laws, I cook with Mary, but she often scolds me. "What are you waddling for? Get those vegetables chopped now." I can only reply, "I'm sorry, I'll do it right away." With each visit, I felt increasingly disliked by Mary, always being scolded no matter how careful I tried to be. I blamed myself for not improving. Even when my husband saw me scolded, he said nothing, just lounging around watching TV or fiddling with his phone. Overwhelmed by the constant scolding, I eventually talked to him about it. "You just need to be more efficient. Mom doesn't usually get that angry," he remarked. His words weren't wrong, but they only made me feel more dejected. One day, a year into our marriage, while cooking with Mary as usual, she finally snapped. "I'm so frustrated doing chores with you. I can't take it anymore. From now on, you'll do it alone. I'll just give instructions," she declared. It seemed Mary had reached her limit with me, scolding me every time. "All right, I understand. I'm sorry," was all I could say. Yet again, after apologizing, I ran to the bathroom in tears, feeling pathetic for upsetting Mary so much. I felt terrible for not being a good daughter-in-law. From then on, under Mary's orders, I did all the household chores alone when at the in-laws' house. Even though I worked by myself, Mary's scolding didn't stop. I was always apologizing. Despite my efforts, my husband and Eric just turned a blind eye. Christmas was particularly depressing. My husband has 3 siblings, and his unmarried brother would come home for the holidays. Sally, my sister-in-law, living far away, only comes back once a year and spends her time at her husband's parents' house. Every year on Christmas Eve, Mary cleans the house from top to bottom, prepares roast turkey, and gets ready for the Christmas feast. On Christmas Day, she cooks up a storm and waits for her 2 younger sons to return. The first year, having helped Mary before, now that I was doing chores alone, it meant handling everything. Just thinking about it was overwhelmingly distressing. On the way to the in-laws' house on Christmas Eve, I did the grocery shopping Mary had asked for, and the car was full. Upon arriving and finishing unloading, Mary immediately instructed me to start cleaning the windows. One cleaning task after another followed, along with preparing lunch. By evening, I was exhausted, yet the cleaning wasn't done. "What are you dawdling for? At this rate, we'll have to continue tomorrow." Mary kept scolding me. I was too tired even to apologize. When I finally finished cleaning, it was already dark outside. Then, I started preparing the roast turkey and cleaning up, and before I knew it, it was the next day. I hadn't even started preparing for tomorrow's meal. Sally hadn't instructed me on the preparations. "It needs to be ready by 11 a.m., she said before heading to bed. My husband and Eric had already fallen asleep. I spent the night desperately doing the meal prep. There was so much to do, and as I worked, I couldn't help but cry. Sally probably started cleaning and prepping not just on Christmas Eve, but several days before. It was unreasonable to expect me to do it all alone. I understood that, as a son's wife, I had to accept this, but I couldn't stop crying. Eventually, morning came while I was still prepping, and I had to start cooking right away to be ready by 11 a.m. I finished everything in time, feeling relieved that I managed to get it all done by 11 a.m. "Wow, this looks delicious." "Thanks, Mom," exclaimed the brothers. Their words irked me. Just as I thought I could finally sit down to eat, Mary called me. "What are you sitting down for? It's family time now. You need to clean the yard," Mary said, handing me a broom. I couldn't believe it but had no energy to resist. Silently, I took the broom and went to the yard. From inside the house, I could hear my family chatting and laughing, seemingly uncaring of my absence. The in-laws' house is in the north, and it was freezing that day. I didn't even have time to put on my coat, so I shivered uncontrollably as I tried to clean. Tears and a runny nose wouldn't stop. I kept telling myself it was my duty as a son's wife, just waiting for the time to pass. 3 hours passed before I was allowed back inside. I was so cold I could barely move, but Mary immediately said, "Hurry up with the cleaning." Shivering, I did the dishes. I knew I could go home soon, as my husband had to work from the second day. That thought kept me going. By the time I finished, it was time to leave. I was exhausted, having not slept since the day before. In the car on the way back, I cheerfully told my husband, "Am I going to spend every Christmas like this? I'm tired, cold, and I can't take it anymore." "Just be more efficient, and you can sleep next year. Stick on lots of disposable heating pads. Stop crying. It's bad luck for Christmas." His cold response angered me. I was starting to resent him. No, I think I already disliked him. I had time off until the 3rd, but I got sick from being outside in the cold and spent the rest of my Christmas break in bed. This treatment continued every time I went to the in-laws' house. The next Christmas Eve, I tried to prepare in advance and get more sleep. I even brought lots of disposable heating pads in case I had to go outside. But Mary criticized my pre-made dishes. "This is too salty. Start over," she said, rendering my efforts meaningless. Then she took all the heating pads from my bag. "Oh, disposable heating pads. These will be perfect for church." "Thank you," she said, taking them all. I couldn't sleep again because of the cleaning and cooking. After preparing the meal, I was sent outside to avoid catching the cold again. I wore a down jacket and took the disposable heating pads I had put in my pockets outside. Despite wearing thick clothes and carrying the heating pads, I couldn't stop shivering as it was snowing that day. About an hour later, a little boy came out of the house. "Wow, snow," he exclaimed. I was surprised. There shouldn't be any children inside. "Henry, put on your gloves," Mary called out. It turned out Sally had arrived unbeknownst to me while I was outside. Sally and her child had come to the in-laws' house. Apparently, she had a fight with her husband and didn't go to his parents' house this year. It was the first time I'd seen her since our wedding 3 years ago. When Sally saw me, she was surprised. Is that you, Ariel? She greeted. Hello, Sally. It's been a while. I greeted her, still shivering. Concerned about me trembling, Sally gave me some disposable heating pads from her pocket. Goodness, you're shivering. Why are you outside all this time? She asked, warming my hands. I was asked to clean the yard as the son's wife, I explained. I answered, and Sally, looking angry, said, What? What do you mean? Come inside, and you too, Henry. She ushered me into the house. Sally approached my husband and the others who were chatting. Hey, what's this about? Ariel was shivering. What if something had happened? She asked forcefully. Mom just asked her to clean the yard. My husband replied nonchalantly. Tom, you don't see anything wrong with this. And Mom, what's this about? Sally confronted my husband and her mother. Eric pretended not to know, and the two brothers-in-law looked uncomfortable. A son's wife should do what's expected of her. I just had her do her duties, Sally's mother replied sulkily. There's no such thing as a son's wife's duties in this world. How can you, a former daughter-in-law, not understand? You don't even realize how horrible this is. This is awful. I will never forgive you, and not just you, everyone here, Sally said, and left the in-laws' house with her child. I stayed at a nearby hotel. While soaking in the pool, I told her everything. Sally, too, had been harshly treated by her mother-in-law and listened to me with tears. Ariel, you've been treated like a slave, haven't you? It's been tough. You don't have to endure it anymore. You can be free, she hugged me. I had always thought it was inevitable as a son's wife and endured many hardships, but finally, I realized it was abnormal. Feeling liberated, I also cried. Spending time with Sally, I felt the need to become stronger. After getting out of the pool, we ate the delicious hotel food, and exhausted from not sleeping since Christmas Eve, I fell asleep without realizing it. The next morning, I saw missed calls from my husband but ignored them, choosing to explore the area around the hotel with Sally and her child. Throughout this, my husband and Mary kept calling. Ariel, it's okay to ignore him, Sally advised, so I didn't answer the phone and enjoyed sightseeing instead. Later that evening, when Sally said she was going home, I drove her to the station. As we said goodbye, Ariel, I've done enough payback for you. The rest is up to you, she told me. I didn't fully understand. Thank you for everything. I thanked her deeply and went home. When I got home, my husband was there, demanding, Hey, where have you been? I called you so many times. Ignoring his frantic concern, he continued, The house has been sold. It's my sister's doing. Confused, I asked, What? Sally? Sally has married the heir of a national real estate company. Our house and the in-laws' house were bought through Sally's husband's company. The two brothers-in-law rented through the same company, he explained. Sally, unable to forgive what happened yesterday, have listed our house and the in-laws' house for sale and filed eviction notices for the brothers' rentals. Within a month, the entire family had to move out, losing their home. I laugh at Sally's extraordinary actions, touched that she did all this for me. You know about this, right? Tell my sister to stop. She'll listen to you, my husband pressed. Laughing, I responded, I'll talk to Mom. He called Mary. It was hard to hear, but she sounded angry. It's called personal responsibility. I'm leaving this house too, so it doesn't matter to me if there's no house. The family can live happily outside, right? Like in a tent? It might be cold and shivering. I teased while saying this to my husband and Mary on the phone. What are you talking about? My husband exclaimed. The joke's on me. I'll send you the divorce papers, I said, packed, and went to my parents' house. I called Sally on the way to tell her I was divorcing. Way to go, Ariel. I knew you'd make that choice. Let's go to a hotel with a pool again, she said cheerfully. I'm grateful to Sally. If she hadn't come that day, I would have endured terrible treatment for decades. Later, we officially got divorced. My ex-husband's family lost their homes. We used to split living expenses and manage our own savings, which I didn't know, but apparently he had hardly any. He had to borrow money for a new house. He was blamed by the in-laws and borrowed more for their initial costs. After the divorce, his debts grew, and he started working part-time at night. Serves him right. The in-laws had lived in a spacious house thanks to Sally, but now had to settle for a small apartment. Embarrassed, Sally rarely leaves the house, living quietly. I started living at my parents' house. When I helped with chores, Mom was surprised at my efficiency. I thought I was clumsy and hadn't grown, but I was wrong. I became skilled in household chores during my 3-year marriage. Sally and I still keep in touch and occasionally visit hotels with pools. Talking to her gives me strength. Becoming the strong woman like Sally is my goal.